Morning everybody, it's Robin. I'm just waking up, so I'm a little puffy-eyed still and all, but I just wanted to, I know I haven't posted a video in a couple weeks, and I'm like, what can I talk about? And then it just hit me. How about let's talk about anxiety? It could be testing anxiety. It could be anxiety because it's the end of the semester and so many things are due at the same time, even though we have a syllabus. In many of my classes, the details of the end of semester projects weren't given until recently. They do that on purpose, I think, because that's real life. Sometimes things are piled on us at the last minute unexpectedly. I did have sorry, I got an email. Let me close that because that'll continue. Okay, so I apologize. Sociology, for example, we had a project. It was on the syllabus. He kind of midway through the semester let us know what it was about, and he gave us the opportunity, which was fabulous, to get it done early, turn it in early. He would give you feedback, and then you could go back and correct things that needed to be changed for a better grade. Well, I did that, and that was wonderful. Yesterday, we were given a group project. We were assigned groups for a presentation for Tuesday. It's Thursday, and the people that I was grouped with, let's just say, don't necessarily always come to class. Let's just say they very rarely come to class. Yeah, so we were assigned, my group was assigned socialism from the functionalist perspective, and there's 4 of us. So he was like, I would like to see the manifest function, meaning the intended way it's supposed to work, the reason it's the ideal way it's supposed to work, the latent function, which was mine, meaning the unintended way it's working, and then the dysfunction, what just isn't working with socialism or whatever. And then the 4th person is just putting all of our information onto PowerPoint slides. So that was a little bit easier of a job, but okay, it's whatever. So me being me, I'm sitting here thinking I might have to come up with all 3. Just because if I get up there, I'm in the middle of the presentation. I kind of have to, if someone doesn't show up, I kind of have to either introduce the idea to get to my part, or I'm going to have to, if the ending person isn't there, I'm going to have to explain my part, which goes into her part of the dysfunction. So I'm feeling a little anxious at the moment. Okay, so anxiety, whether it's test anxiety or just anxiety over a certain class that maybe you just don't do as well in as you would like, is normal. Anxiety can come from not being prepared. It can come from something happening last minute. Anxiety can come from competition. Like the nursing program at my school is highly competitive, and even especially the nursing pool students, feel more pressure, I think, because you have to make primo grades, because you get picked for clinicals based on a point system, which I've gone over. So you get more points for A's, obviously, fewer for B's, even fewer for C's, and so on. So it's very important to do well in your prereq classes. So when last minute things are thrown on me, and I'm taking 4 classes right now, it just kind of, put some stress on me. But that's okay, because that's life. Been there before with other situations. I'll deal with it. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it, unfortunately sometimes, not that I mean to procrastinate, but sometimes the last minute work is some of the best work I do. And I don't like that, because I don't like the feeling I have while I'm doing it. But it does end up being decent work. So hopefully, the sociology project will be the same. It just government and economics just don't, it's not my thing. Sometimes I have a hard time wrapping my brain around it. I'm a nurturer, you know, I don't get into that kind of stuff. So I'll do the best I can with what I have. Anyway, getting back to the anxiety, there's a young girl in my sociology class, bless her heart. Talking sociology, clinical math, clinical math. This is her third time taking this class, and she's always raising her hand and asking questions, which is great because she's just trying to reinforce that she understands it correctly, which usually she doesn't, because you can almost hear desperation in her voice when she's asking the question. And she's like, so you mean that, so what I have to do is put this over the, you know, and the teacher's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not, and you can just see it on her face. She wants to understand so badly. So I feel like her anxiety about wanting to do well is hindering her progress with the class and her successfulness with this class. And I feel so bad for her. And I told her after class one day, because she was kind of hanging around to talk to the teacher who was busy, and there wasn't very many of us in there. I walked over to her and I said, you know, honey, and this was before I knew this was her third time taking the class. I said, you know, I'm understanding this section pretty well. I said, if you would ever like some help, you know, I said, I'm usually here after class or before class. I said, I'd be more than welcome to, or more than happy to help you out. And she looked very thankful, and that's when she told me that this was her third time taking it. She's always wanted to be a nurse, but math is just really hard for her. And I told her, I said, I just think we need to not start from the beginning, but just find out what's making it hard for you. But I really think it's you wanting to do so well. And so anyway, she agreed, and so I've met with her a few times, and it's helping. We've had another test since then. She did better. She still didn't do that well, but she did better. So I told her that was a positive. But, you know, we're down to 2 more tests. We have one test over critical meds, or IV flows, and then the final. And the final is 35% of our grade. So that could really help her if she does well, or it could just sink her. So I'm feeling her pain. I'm kind of feeling bad for her. I also told her, I said, you know, we can talk about some things to help you not be so stressed, you know. So I told her what works for me, because me and my kids. Shelby and I are not the best test takers. It doesn't mean that we're not prepared, because we absolutely put in time and effort. I am prepared when I go in to a test, but I just naturally want to do well, so I kind of put that pressure on myself. So I make sure I don't overstudy the night before, because like I said, I've already put in that time. I know the material, or I know it as best as I can. So what I do the night before is just kind of glance over my notes. I just kind of skim through things, and then I'll watch a funny movie, or I'll relax with the kids or Eric or whatever. I try not to stress too much about it, and I make sure I'm in bed early. I get up and I have a good breakfast. That's important. I always bring water and gum. Gum just helps kind of relax me. I don't know what it is. During a class, I guess it's just keeping me busy with something. So I bring gum to class, and I pump some good tunes in the car on the way to school. I know it sounds funny, but it's kind of like my kids do it with their iPods before a game. They have those certain songs that just make them feel good, and they're visualizing themselves like whacking the crap out of the ball during a song, or, you know, making a great fielding play or something. So I kind of do the same thing. I just find those songs that pump me up and make me feel good and make me feel confident, and I don't really think too much about it. Another thing I do, and this is very important, is I stay away. I know who the negative students are in my class, and I don't go around them, because they like to blame the teacher on, she doesn't prepare us good enough for class, and, you know, she expects us to do so much on our own and things like that. Or they're like, oh, I'm never going to understand this part, I'm having so much trouble. I stay away from that, because even though you might feel extremely confident, just a slight little bit of negativity can really set you on a downward spiral. So, you know, if you have your iPod, put your headphones in, or just stay in another waiting area, or just stay down the hall, or get in a good conversation with somebody else. Stay away from that negativity from those students. And I really find that that's very important. Hi, Ann. What was I going to say? Another thing, I dress comfortable. I usually dress, to go to school like I go to work, but on test days I make sure that I'm comfortable. I usually wear a pair of jeans, long sleeve t-shirt or something, and that helps a lot too. Before I go into class, I don't really, again, study too much. I might glance over some things quickly. One thing that kind of messes me up before class is, or once class starts, is they'll say, does anybody have any questions? And that's when everybody's raising their hand. This is clinical math I'm talking about. Everybody's raising their hand, and it's that last minute, am I right with this? And she's, no. And so that's where I just get out paper and I'm doodling, or I'm doing something else, or I'm just kind of sitting there, closing my ears, because I know what I need to remember, and I try not to focus on what they're talking about, because I don't have trouble with that. But if I pay attention to that, then I'm going to start second guessing and doubting myself. So there are absolutely things you can do to help reduce anxiety about classes or about tests. Being prepared, knowing your material, and allowing enough time to get things done is very important. And practicing, like this on Tuesday I have the oral presentation, so this weekend I really need to make sure that I'm up talking out loud and in the kitchen or the living room or whatever to time to make sure I have, where it's supposed to be 3 to 5 minutes each. But again, like I said, the rest of my group is sometimes not there, so I need to make sure I'm prepared enough with their parts, just because that messes with my grade. So hopefully they'll be there, hopefully they'll follow through. I have class again today, so I'm going to make sure and see where they're at with their information, make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes with what we got from the book. There's always a leader in a group. There's always someone that has to kind of take the reins. It's nice when things are equal, but sometimes, most of the time it's not. So I just try and deal with that the best I can. Algebra is another kind of stress factor for me, just because I have a high B in that class, but I would like an A. That is not a class needed for clinicals. However, I just want a good GPA. I want to do the best that I possibly can, and I find that sometimes I psych myself out with that class. So I do all these things I'm telling you. I just make sure I'm prepared. I do all the practice problems I can find. I do all my homework. I get to class early, and sometimes I can ask the instructor about some questions I had with the homework. And so yeah, let me know what you guys have anxiety about, whether it's just testing, whether it's about time tests. Sometimes I know that puts people over the edge when they know they have just a certain amount of time to finish something. That can throw them off. One thing that my child told me that really bothers her, and I used to be this way, is she says when she's taking a test, because she's one that needs extended time, and she does get extended time, but she starts getting nervous when she sees people being done and she's not even halfway done, or she is halfway done. And that happens with me in clinical math all the time. I might be halfway done. In fact, I'm always one of the last ones done, always. But I average 95, 97% on my tests, okay? So don't ever think that just because someone's done way ahead or before you, that you're too slow or that something isn't right, because many times those people make mistakes, make silly mistakes. There's one boy in my class, he's always done like way early, and he's rocking 100s. If he misses anything, it might be 1. And hey, more power to him, he's a friend of mine. You go right on ahead with your brain. But and I also glance over and look over my tests. I always start with the easier problems. I come back to the harder ones, and I never change an answer. unless I'm 100% sure that I'm correct. All right, have a good day. Let me know what works for you. Let me know what doesn't work for you. I would like to also hear from you if you've overcome certain anxiety, what you've done to overcome that anxiety. Because, and please, I love the personal emails you guys send me privately, but please post below, because you would be helping so many other people out. And don't ever feel like because you have anxiety or you get nervous that that's a sign of lack of intelligence, because that's just bogus. I don't care what anybody says. That means absolutely nothing. It has nothing to do with disappointing your family or yourself or your spouse or your children or whatever. As long as you're doing the best that you know you can do, as long as you know that you're putting in the time it requires to the best of your ability. I know family and kids, single parenthood, all that comes into play, but as long as you are doing the best that you can, you need to be proud of that, okay? Results will come, because I firmly believe in my heart, perseverance, dedication, and work ethic will come into play, okay, and will play a part in your grade and who you are as a person. And okay, maybe you weren't the one to get all A's, but you know what? Can you get things done? Are you diligent? Are you going to keep trucking and moving forward? Because it says a lot about you as a person, to a manager, to a boss, to whoever. If my family member's in the hospital, are you going to do everything you can do to make sure that they're taken care of? Okay, double check yourself. That's cool. That's fine. Are you caring and nurturing? There's so much more than just the brain of it. Okay, so don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do something, even if something's harder for you than it is for others. Don't compare yourself. You can't do that. You just have to focus on you. Okay, so I love you all. Please, please, please let me know how I can help you with videos. If there's something you want me to cover, please rate and subscribe down below. Let me know what you do. Maybe you don't have testing anxiety, but maybe you have some good pointers or tips for others that do. Okay? Everybody have a great weekend. I'm going to be writing a research paper on Alzheimer's, hopefully to get that done early so I can get some feedback, so I can make corrections. That's a huge part of our grade for composition. If we don't turn in that one paper, we fail, and it doesn't matter about everything else in the class. Point-wise, we fail. So I want to do well, I have to do well. So that's what I'm working on as well. So everybody have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.